Hey everyone, welcome to Madness University. This is LZ, and I am here with Nick. And today's topic is blue ink versus black ink, the age-old debate that goes on in our space. So Nick, let's start with you. What are your opinions on blue versus black?
So I didn't even realize this was a debate until I got into autographed cards and autograph sets. Like who even thinks about this? You just grab a pen and whatever color it is, right? And then I don't know. I feel like when we chased Celtics players, we just had black Sharpies because that's just what you have like lying around the house, right? I didn't realize, like, if you go to Michael's or Target, that there are like 17 different colors of Sharpies.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so black and blue are like the dominant ones. And the reason I kind of discovered this was when I was building the 86 Fleer set, I started realizing that there was a premium for blue. So if I wanted a particular difficult player's autograph, like somebody that doesn't sign a ton, and there was a black one, equal grade, and there's a blue one, equal grade, the blue would be like 20% more. I'm like, well, what's going on? And
Hmm.
the consensus was it just looks better, dude. And you know what? I think after a couple years, I tend to agree for the most part on 86 that the blue does look better. Not for all cards though. Like there are some that have really dark backgrounds, and I actually think silver looks better. So anyway, getting back to the question that you asked me, I think
Hmm.
it's just like it really depends on the card. So 86 Fleer's got like a red, white, and blue border, right? So that just screams throw some blue on the card. 1969 is a little different. Like they're white tall boys with the player's picture. You can really get away with anything. You can get creative. And then there's some cool stuff like I do Skybox, and I'll do like gold or silver. So honestly, it's not even just blue or black ink. It's like, what's the ink that's right for the card? And then there's even crazier stuff now where there's paint pens and things. I
Hmm.
guess we won't even go there, but I think you just have to look at the aesthetics of the card. And honestly, at the end of the day, like if you think black looks better, that's cool. Just do black. That's fine. Um, you know, it won't matter too much. So don't get too crazy with it.
Preference is key there, right? With what Nick said, and I totally agree with that. But you're spot on. There is something about blue. I think it's popular. It might actually be a little harder to get as well. And Nick had mentioned some of the Celtics games that we used to go to. There was a few players. One in particular I remember is Blake Griffin. If you handed Blake Griffin a blue pen, he just would ignore you. He would he would either ignore you or he would grab a black pen that was next to him and he would sign your card. So some players actually refuse the blue pen because I think with the blue ink, there is this probably theory with the players that okay, this is somebody who knows what they're doing is asking for my autograph. Maybe this is a professional in the space and they're going to go try to flip or sell this card versus this person is just a fan and wants my autograph. So I've definitely seen that with certain players. Some other players from games that I go to, Luca walks around with his own Sharpie. Jason Tatum now walks around with his own Sharpie. And guess what? They're both black. They're not blue. So they force you to use their black pen. So that to me makes it seem like all right, the blue one is a little more scarce.
Mm.
So that's definitely something to think about. Um, it's funny in preparing for this particular episode, I actually did a quick Google and I'm like, why do people care? Like, what's the difference? It's so funny. According to pen.com, didn't know that was a website, but great name, super simple. Pen.com. Um, black is actually easier to forge than blue.
Huh.
And they go into the detail. I'm not going to bore everybody with it. But a lot of it has to do with counterfeit, and it really talked a lot about like important documents. They're going to get signed. And, if you want to take care of them, you should try to do it in blue if you're allowed. I mean, some documents don't allow the blue. But for what that's worth, it actually got me thinking, oh, okay, that is interesting. Maybe it is a little bit easier to
Huh.
counterfeit with black.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like you need to go into color copy mode instead of just copy something.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
very interesting, LC.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of that. That's
Mm-hmm.
wild.
So could be something there. I prefer blue, but to Nick's point, it all depends on the background. And the paint pens. Let's just
Mm,
real quick touch on the paint pens. I think paint pens, some of them look fantastic, but my fear, especially if it's a personal collection, is 20 years from now, that paint is going to chip off because it's not like ink that bleeds into the card and stays there forever. So that's kind of my fear with these paint
yeah.
pens. I don't know if that's really true, but it's just the way I feel.
I know. I feel like sometimes the paint pens look like my son's video game Splatoon, where it's basically just a paintball fight. And it feels
Mm,
like somebody just went to the card with a paintball gun. But then sometimes I'm like, wow, that looks really sick. So, I mean, I'll
mhm.
give you an example. I have a 1986 Fleer box kind of above me for the audience. And, when I wanted Magic Johnson to sign it in Lakers purple, and there was not really a purple Sharpie that kind of fit that purple, but there was a paint pen that was like almost identical to Laker purple. And I really wanted that color on there because I'd already done Kareem in blue. And it actually came out great. So should be good there. But sometimes it just looks like a mess. I agree. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's all I don't know, like get a paint pen and just practice on some like crap base card. Just see how you feel. Like sign your name. See if you like it.
You brought up purple too. One last comment on the paint stuff. A member of our Facebook group, Brian, actually posted a recent it was a Randy Moss card, and he did it in purple. And this is a Randy Moss on the Vikings, and it looked beautiful.
Mm,
Really, really nice.
yeah.
So yeah, I think if you
Works.
can get the color to match, that's great. But I'm gonna stick with the blue ink as much as I can, Nick.
Definitely. And if you're sending something in for a signing, ask the promoter what they think. They're dealing with these cards all the
Hmm.
time. They're reselling them. They are getting suggestions. They'll say something like, dude, 90% of the people use X. So
X.
not a bad person to ask.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's it for pens. That's as much as you want to get into pens, I think, right?
It is. That is as much as we want. All
Sweet.
right, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.